Welcome to part 3 or 2. It's really part 2, but it's the third time he's been on.
It's part 2 of part 2.
Yes. That's it.
That's it. It's part 2 of part 2.
It's an addendum.
That's it. With Eric Von Haessler, I'm Southside Steve. That's Jeff Cole, my co-host on Fox FM, and Eric on WSB. And part 1 of part 1. Or no,
part
2.
1 of part 2.
Yes. What, part 1 of part 2?
The last one we did was part 1 of part 2.
Thank you. That was all about WSB. My arms are crossed, so obviously I'm tense with this. But yes, and we talked all about WSB, how you left 96 Rock 100.5, the regular guys, and then a podcast turned into a show, and you became a news guy. You want a sip of water?
No, I'm on.
Because we can do it. It's unprofessional at this point.
No, I know it's unprofessional. I'm not Marco Rubio. I'm a pro.
A possible sponsor, Pure Life. Come to us. I don't even know who that is.
Out of a tap somewhere.
I don't even know where that water came from.
You don't want it in the shot? Can I just put it right
there?
Yeah,
you can put it in the shot now.
No, it's not the shot. You can't see it.
Yeah, come on, Bourbon Whiskey. You can see that's a proud sponsor. But right now we're going to talk about what Eric did while on the show. So we're doing the regular guys show. This is during Rock 100.5. Driving and Crying. I started my career with those guys in 95 when I started at 96 Rock as a producer. I booked them on the Christopher Reed in the Morning Show. I had them out for a golf tournament. We did a live show at Station 21 Station 21 in Buckhead. And we go to Station 21. I'm like, can you sing To Build a Fire? And it was perfect. And we had the fire trucks. But those guys used to just hate me because I had to have them out at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. Well, Eric got to know him, started hanging out with him, and before we knew it, you're in bed with Kevin Kinney and what they're doing, and you're like, you guys were on David Letterman, man. You were there, and you all of a sudden are like, let's shoot a video. How did all that happen?
I don't know. I had a wild... I wanted to, I always saw myself as like a filmmaker one day. So, everybody in radio wanted to be something else. Rock star. I went and paid $100 for a guitar when I was 18 or 19. I didn't realize it was going to hurt your fingers within 30 minutes.
Wait, calluses?
Can't do that. I love movies and stuff, and I think I understand montage, and so I always wanted to kind of do that. And they put out the album Whatever Happened to the Great American Bubble Factory, and I was just I listened to it. A lot of times. I knew Driving and Crying was legitimate, and I knew their big songs and stuff. And a lot of times bands would come through and they give you their CD or whatever, and you're kind of like, there's one or two, but it's not, And when I listened to that album, I was just knocked out. Wow. I was just knocked out by the whole thing, beginning to end.
Also, going back, were you a fan, or did you know of them when you were in New York?
Well, I knew of them. Well, actually,
they weren't. We taught you.
No, we could go back. We can go back. I knew of them. This is in the early 90s, when I was the first radio job I ever had at WPXY in Rochester, New York, and it was I was producing Larry's show, and I would play characters on it in the morning show, wacky top 40 morning show, and it was the first time in my life where I got an intern, and his name was Chris Kolchuk. And
nice.
he was into music, and one day he brought in a few CDs. He's like, you gotta listen to these bands. These are the new bands kind of coming through. And I remember I can't remember all of them, but the Black Crowes and Driving and Crying, Fly Me Courageous were in there.
Oh hell!
And so I looked at it, and then I turned it over, and this was the period of time where Driving was just that late 80s, early 90s, hair everywhere. And I looked at their picture and I said, I don't listen to music like this. I gave them that back, and I took the Black Crowes and some other stuff. So that's my first connection to Driving.
Hair's too big.
Then we got to Atlanta, and you booked Kevin on the show very early on. And I was aware that I hadn't put it really together. I knew that and so he came on and he sang Honeysuckle Blue alone and I love music. So I was like, well, this is different. This isn't some local act coming in here. that's a Beatles song. That's like a song.
This
That's
isn't
real.
This isn't this long-haired band you saw on the cover of.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't even know that I connected those two stories at that point, to be honest with you.
You know that Kevin Kinney was driving it.
He just blew me away.
But
And-
Kevin doesn't care about appearances. He doesn't try to be a rock star. He's just a dude in a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a troubadour like that, you know. So, so I got more interested, and we worked with them more. But then when the album came out, whatever happened to the Great American Bubble Factory, that's when I was really taken, and I thought, well, somebody should make a video off this, and if I don't do it, nobody else will. So I offered to do that. I'd never made a video before. Now, here's the thing about the video. I'm not real happy with it. I don't think that Kevin's real happy with it. I don't think anybody was ever really happy with it.
I thought it was great.
Well, what's good about it is that the story that goes through it. But I didn't capture the band. It had the kind of crappy visuals behind them and stuff, and so I didn't capture the band. I should have just put the band live in front of them, and I should have put them in because that's the kind of energy they had. So I was kind of like, but in the middle of that, I approached them about making a documentary because I was kind of being around them and I found them interesting, and Kevin was so funny, and you know, and I don't know why, but they said yes. And I knew while I was making the 5-minute video that I was actually going to do better at making an hour-and-a-half movie than I was going to be at making the 5-minute video.
I know I chose not to put you in this video, and I got a storyline and everything, but I promise in the documentary I'm going to use you.
Not you. You're in the video.
No, I'm talking about. I'm saying you're saying.
Oh, yeah. I will capture you.
Yeah,
you
meaning
know,
I didn't get you in the video,
yeah.
but I promised in the documentary I'm going to show you guys.
I was. You know what? I was.
But
too
I did
afraid.
get in the video.
I was too afraid to say in the middle of it when I wasn't. This is like, know your gut. I was too afraid to say. Let's go back with the visuals. Let's go back. But they were already baked in. I was working with people who knew more than me about that. But in reality, who gives a fuck if it's baked in? It's not working. And so I kind of got pulled in a certain direction with that. And it's my fault.
Live and learn, man. It was your first time.
So the movie, I followed them for, almost 4 years. And
let me tell you, Eric would be out of state following them and either flying or driving in just to make it to work by Monday morning.
Yeah, because I had to be at work at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'd do weekends and all that. So that's why it took so long. I'd never made a movie before. And I'm proud of the movie. It's best watched on Amazon Prime Video because that's the best file and everything. And that's the best way to see it. It's not perfect. It is. People talk about independent movies. People talk about low budget things. That movie, hour and 45 minutes, whatever running time it is, was all made. I burned through 2 Macs.
Wow.
And ended up on the 3rd one. It was all done in my basement as far as editing and whatever. And you know, it's got all kinds of flaws to it. I have trouble like watching it because I know, I lost that piece of audio and all of that. But the one thing I feel good about, even though the video I don't think really worked, and I think the movie does work with its flaws. I think it's very good. I think prove to myself, even with the video, turn down the sound. The montage, what comes before, what comes after, how it goes into the next thing, I feel really good about. And I really accentuated that with the movie. Every project I go into, whether it's the radio show or whatever, I take a walk in the woods and I identify first what I don't want it to be. And what I didn't want the movie to be was maybe interviewing 6, 7, 8 people and you keep going back to them in the same place. So that's why it took 4 years. I wanted people to be in different places, and I always decide what I'm okay with the criticism being before I start a project. And with the movie, I was okay if people said it moves too fast, it doesn't slow down, it doesn't settle down. It's like, that's what you have to do. What criticism am I willing to accept?
Because you know there's going to be some.
Right.
Always is.
And so that was the whole thing, is this movie is always going to move. It's never going to settle down and kind of be like this, which, by the way, sometimes movies should settle down. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a movie maker, so I'm going to go with bam, 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 bam. I don't trust myself enough to kind of slow it down.
Keep the pace, man.
Keep it moving.
Keep the pace.
Now,
Jeff will tell you that the greatest movie was Titanic.
Yeah, I think it's the best
Ever made?
Ever made. Ever
well,
made.
one of them.
Okay.
No, you said Ever Made.
I said
I'm
Ever Made,
quoting you.
but sometimes I'll also point to Boyhood. But that's a whole different thing.
But you just watched this, and the title is Scarred But Smarter.
Scarred But Smarter.
Watch it on Amazon.
You know how we love, like I always love the rule of threes. So when Scott Munn, who's the executive producer, and I were driving back from some gig, we were trying to think of names, and I was like, how about 3 threes? So it was Scarred But Smarter, Life and Times, Driving and Crying. 3 threes make a 9. That's gotta be perfect, right?
So did you pay for it? Did you finance it yourself?
I financed the whole damn thing.
And what was your plan on getting your money back?
I never had any plan for that. I never thought that I was going to
You just wanted to make it.
I wanted to make a movie. In my lifetime, I wanted to make a documentary. And
wow.
now it's too bad that I can't do others and more because I learned so much from that. I could do that movie in 6 months now. It took me 4 years, the first time.
Never say never. You never know.
That's a whole. Let me tell you something, man. When you see these directors, and when the movie's over, and there's just like, they're like, this is the mayor of a city, like a small city that you're responsible for.
It's a lot.
I worked with like 6 people, and I wanted to kill every single one of them before. Like, it is stressful. It is stressful trying. I mean, people are, and you have this vision. And it can be very, very, and everybody knows what they're supposed to do, so they're arguing with you about. I had one guy who was helping us out for a while, and he's like, directors do not edit their own movies. Like, why? Like, I got into this because I'm thinking of the montage.
I kind of know what I want.
Yeah, and then when he saw it, he said, no, you know what? In your case, I was wrong. You should have edited the movie. So it's not perfect, but technically it's not perfect.
What did you notice? You just watched it.
The audio.
Well, I noticed a couple of the interviews. The audio's not 100% mic'd, so I could tell. We talked before. You had to use the.
Well, that was a lot of that was because 4 years picking up all this equipment and somebody to help me, follow them gigs from a couple of gigs over a weekend in another state, and drive back and then be at work by 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was not a good cataloger.
Now,
that's the thing that was like, I did not. And so what would happen is I had like I just had terabytes of stuff to fashion into the final hour and a half. And so I would go to grab some audio. The funny thing about the movie, and I shouldn't reveal this because before you watch a movie, you shouldn't tell people things to look for, but the audio for the live stuff, which should be the hard stuff,
is perfect.
Yeah. The bad audio is just somebody sitting here like this.
Which was not, that's really not that.
Sometimes I would put it's noticeable to a professional, I guarantee you, but, and sometimes I would actually put subtitles on it just to make sure that people could understand it. But what would happen is I would go to reach for, I want to use this. Where's that sound? And so then you end up having to use the sound off of the camera. And then with the subtitles, I thought it would be cool to make them like different colors when they came up. Like one time they'd be yellow, or one time they'd be purple, and now everybody just thinks that that was a fuck up. Like, wow, you didn't even notice you didn't even get the subtitles. Like, well, I thought it would be clever, I did it on purpose. Like,
one other question is, I'm just curious, sort of being a wannabe songwriter, how did you get the rights to the songs? Like, is that something you had to do individually, or do you buy like the whole catalog?
Somewhere in my email, and if you ever email me, I never put an email in the trash unless it's trash when it comes in.
Do you want to give out your email?
No. It's easy enough to find. But I keep them all. Somewhere in my email is an email from, and it's and I just the fact that it's there, I won't get rid of it. It says Jones, Quincy.
Wow.
Which he never had anything to do with it, but he was the head of Universal. Their catalog ended up with Universal because Universal bought one of the companies that they were with, and so we did a Kickstarter because I found out that it was going to cost. So it was $36,000
to get the whole catalog, whatever.
Not the whole catalog, just the songs that we wanted in the movie. We had to submit them.
How many songs?
So it was half and half. It was, I don't remember exactly how many, but it was like 18,000 for publishing rights, and then it was like 18 or something for the masters.
Damn.
So you had to pay 2 different things. So we did a GoFundMe. My mother-in-law, rest in peace, came through at the very end and
You did marry into some
put a
money,
bunch-
didn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. Not crazy, but
a
more than
little
I
bit.
had, you know.
Yeah.
So she was kind, and she helped out a lot. But yeah, as I recall, it was $36,000, which, by the way, is wrong. Is wrong for these companies like Universal, because they're sitting on a catalog by a band that most people who work at Universal have never fucking heard of. And if somebody's going to come in, and we have a lot of this going on.
Yeah,
you see
man.
bands, you see these documentaries all the time, best band you've never heard of kind of thing. There should be a division at places like Universal. If somebody wants to take a catalog that is kind of sitting there that we're not doing anything with, and they want to promote it, I mean, even if the
You
movie...
should say thank you.
Yeah,
It's
even
gonna
if the
get
movie
you-
stunk,
Yeah.
people wouldn't decide to
agree.
never listen to Driving and Crying. They would be like, well, that's it. I'm burning all my CDs. This movie stunk. It can't do anything but help, you know?
It only helps.
And so it's really kind of shitty. But the one thing I did get out of it was, two things. I got the rights to use the songs in the movie, and the other thing was I got that in my email. Jones, comma,
And you
Quincy.
got
You need to print that. You need to print that email, frame that
and you
email.
help that gives a chunk of change to Kevin Kinney.
I
He-
guess,
he probably
I
got a
don't
little
know.
bit.
I doubt.
But,
You know,
but you know,
they those record companies screw
Well, wait.
those people.
If Kevin did make a little, did you ask Kevin for that money back?
No, I didn't, because he wouldn't even know that little came from that. And I don't even think that they do. You know, the way that it works in reality, one of the first, and I don't think I put this
I thought
in.
artists got checks.
I should have put this in. They do, but
Yeah.
I should have. I should have put this in the movie. But Kevin, one of the first stories he told me was that on the album Smoke, which was the follow-up to Fly Me Courageous, so what the record company does is they give you an advance, and you think, wow, we got all this money.
it's a
But
loan.
everything comes out of that,
Wow.
including the cost of the video. So they were making professional videos then, and
Getting charged.
And so in reality, as far as Kevin knows, between him and record companies, he still owes them $1,000. Like, not that they're ever going to come for it, but I mean,
Right.
that's the way that
Damn.
has balanced out. So I think that these companies should. Anybody who wants to come along and
promote,
popularize and
yeah.
promote a catalog that they're not doing anything with, then it should be encouraged.
Well, yeah, it's too bad you had to spend that kind of money, but I would say it's worth it, because there's nothing worse than watching a music documentary about an artist
And you can't have the music.
and then you hear like imitation versions.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah, it's like it's with the Beatles all the time.
Yeah,
It's always like this background faux. It's like bam,
Yeah.
it's like
not the
kind
song.
of the
No,
Beatles. It's like it's. I was thinking of that. I didn't want to do this without, because
Yeah.
the whole idea of the movie
is to promote the music. How
for
good the
me
music is.
was to in a subliminal way. At the end of the movie, for people who are not maybe familiar with a couple of songs and don't know this beautiful, great, rich catalog, was to subliminally kind of in there go, well, every piece of music that I heard in this movie, whether it was live or whether it was between scenes or whether it was under, is from this band and from this songwriter. And I wanted that to kind of like, that's why the closing credits I could have made very short.
Sure.
Because it was just me and maybe 5-6 other people that were doing it, but I didn't. I made it the full Scar But Smarter slow version long, because I wanted that list of songs to just go by, and I wanted people just to, and every one of them saying Kevin Kenny, Kevin Kenny, Kevin Kenny, Kevin Kenny, because that's what I wanted. So I couldn't do it without the music. It wasn't possible,
Wow, but I thought it came out so well, including the video, and set it off. And this is just something that you did, and it was so great. And when I see it on Amazon or I'm watching TV, and I'm like, wow, that's Eric's. I can click on it. There's a lot of pride.
You can
there.
actually get it free now. It's on Freevee.
Yeah.
On
Is it on?
Amazon.
No,
it's
on
on
Freevee.
It's on Amazon Prime, but within that,
Do they just
there's
cut
the free
into it
version.
like with these commercials,
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
like cavalry going, here's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Commercials you wouldn't approve of,
I don't care.
but it doesn't matter. It's
You
there.
know what? You do the thing, and then look, people get everybody's so thin-skinned now, and I can't stand, I don't know if you use this phrase, maybe, like haters. We used to call them critics. They're valuable. I made a thing. I'm proud of it. I know it's not perfect, but I'm proud of it. But that doesn't mean you can watch it and think it's terrible. That's okay.
I don't care.
Like everybody isn't. I always go back to the Beatles. There are people who didn't like the Beatles. All right. If the Beatles didn't get everybody, guess what?
Nobody.
You're not going to get everybody. So don't worry about it. Do the best work that you can. Put it out there, and don't call people haters. It's perfectly legitimate. If somebody watches the movie and says, you know what, that didn't do it for me, there's nothing wrong with that.
The only one I ever went with was Key Bangers, just for people that were sending in emails and saying nasty crap.
But I don't look at that.
I don't look at that. And then that's what you do. You just don't look at it.
I'm not on social media. I mean, the show is, but I don't interact. You know, it seems dumb to me.
There's
Can you
people
imagine, like,
that
Johnny
love.
Carson back in the day, like, interacting? You're wrong. That monologue yesterday was Like, can you imagine? Like, it's not, there's some, I believe in show business, you know? There's a stage, and if there's two places, you're either watching or taking it in, or you're presenting it. And if you're out here and you get turned on and you want to be up, then do that. Then go and do that. But there's all around rules to that. The people in the crowd can get up and walk out. That's their prerogative.
Hey, look at politicians when they win, even the highest, position in the world, at least in our world, in America, half the country didn't vote for you.
Right. Yeah, you just have to deal with it. Everybody isn't going to dig. Look, when you're number one in radio, it still means that like 80% of the people listening to radio at that time aren't listening to you. It's just that more are listening to you than any other chunk.
Which is well said. Yeah. Well said. I love it. Special thanks to JoeBees.com. I'm trying to get Eric on B-Paul, and he's a healthy man. He's a brand new 60s. No, I'm saying healthy. He takes long walks. I didn't realize Eric had woods in his backyard. Where he thought of all this.
You were in my house.
I know, but I didn't know it was so deep back there.
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, Eric, you have acres of woods. You have a nature trail in the back of your house.
Listen, I have a little side hobby that I need lots of woods behind me.
Okay, we won't talk about it. He's either making.
Just don't bring a shovel. You know, you'll be all right.
Bodies are buried. Liquor is being made. There's shines. It's just all kind. There's some pot back there. But I will say, JoeBees.com. Special thanks to our sponsor, JoeBees.com. And as always, if you're having some issues, David Markwell's there for you. MarkwellTherapy.com. Go to Ridgeline Counseling as well. A lot of people got some mental issues. We see it every single day. Get help. Don't do anything bad to yourself that makes other people miss you for the rest of their lives, or don't do anything bad to anybody else that's innocent. That is the Yeah Come On show with Eric Von Haessler, Scarred but Smarter. Get it on Amazon or watch it on free.
Well, it's on Amazon, but it's on the freebie.
Well, it's also on Amazon too. You know, you can't pay $4.99
to see Eric's work
and watch it without, you know.
Do you get any money? No money? Have you ever gotten any money?
No, I get I don't even look at it. I get a couple $100 every quarter.
You get mailbox money.
Mailbox money.
I don't.
What do you do with that money?
I don't know.
Drugs?
I have no idea. I see the emails.
Does it go in the gas tank?
Truth is, I don't even look at the email. I just know, like at the end of the year when it's time for taxes, I'll see, it made $275.
All right. You know what? If I stay alive for 30 more years, I'm going to get my mother-in-law's money back.
Oh, are we wrapping up?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to say one thing. I was watching your podcast. I get that the idea is you want to talk to people who have been successul. They had a dream.
You throw spaghetti at the wall, does it leave a stain or stick? It's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of show business.
Which I love, but as a hater or a critic, I want to say one thing. I think that when it comes to success, you put too much emphasis on the paycheck. Too much, because now, listen, getting paid well is part of success.
By the way, the podcast could change after this, so just listen.
But it's not just how much you make, because you make more than everybody else, then you're more successful. Obviously, being successful means you can pay your bills. Maybe you can go out and you can have a nice night out. But people have different ideas of success.
Or play the lottery.
Well, you can give that a shot if you want. You could also go outside and try to get struck by lightning. You're more likely to have that happen to you. But to me, yes, there is a monetary. To me, the monetary thing is I'm not wondering how I'm going to pay my phone bill. I'm not wondering. Once you get past that, then it's up to you. To some people, I'm doing all of this, and you know what? I can take 2 months off every year and go wherever the hell I want. Now, if I didn't take 2 months off every year, maybe I'd make 2 more months of income, and that might look more impressive to Southside Steve. But for a person, any person, they define their own level of success, which is I can live my life for the most part the way that I want to live my life. Certainly there's a bedrock to that, which is that isn't possible if you're constantly wondering how you're going to pay the heating bill. So those things, that's to me, only thing I like about making, well, not the only thing, but the thing that is most important to me about making a decent living is that I don't have to think about money anymore.
Right.
That's my number one.
That's that thing that once you get your basic needs met,
Right.
you're not going to get any happier.
And I learned some of this from Kevin Kinney, who never said this to me directly, but I realized by watching him that if you are willing to live at the level that that the audience has decided, or however it worked out, then you're successful because you're doing your thing. Kevin Kinney, as long as his arms don't break or his health doesn't go to the point that he can't do it anymore,
or he gets braces,
he will never starve. You want to know why?
Why?
Because he can always pull that guitar out and sing Straight to Hell to somebody, and at the very least, they're going to make a meal. They're going to, they're going to make a warm meal. They're going to do something.
Well, that's kind of the theme of the documentary. It's like they're not considered successful, but I found out they are successful, even though they aren't huge still.
There's one part of the movie I can't stand.
What's that?
Which is I didn't do much voiceover.
Is this the way to go out? I don't know.
No. It's one of those things that and there was a review in Nashville and the guy really got on my narration. So this is about how bad it is. It's only in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Right.
It was going to go more through, but when I went through the cutting, I got rid of my own voice. But there's one part where I had this line that I've always wanted to use. I don't know why.
It's on the cutting room floor?
What? No.
The line's in.
The line's in. This is the thing that there was this line I kind of forced in, which was, what was it like?
Come on. No.
I can't remember. It's like they're a mystery in a drawer.
In a box with question marks.
With question marks. And that was just a line that I had in my head.
You kind of wedged it in there.
Forced it in.
What, was it just like the very, I'm trying to remember, and he just says it?
It's in the transition when we go away from, we'll start to tell the story, and it goes into Straight to Hell. And because the line usually is it's a riddle wrapped in a mystery. And I had a line in my head, they're a riddle wrapped in a mystery, stuffed in a drawer of question marks.
Yeah.
So I just had that in my head.
I actually like that.
And
it worked.
Does it? I don't know. When I go, whenever I see it, I go,
hey, I say
and the guy in Nashville is like, and I got to Nashville. I'm sorry to take it so long.
No, we love it.
I got to Nashville for the thing there. And the band was at a bar, and so that had come out. And I was walking back with Kevin, and I was kind of explaining to him, it's like, because that critic had it's like, they're a good band and whatever, but basically this guy doesn't know how to narrate a movie kind of thing. And so I was saying to Kevin, here's the thing about radio is, if I have a shitty show, I can always fix it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But this is like, I can't fix it. It's out there. And he said, he said, tell me about it when you make albums. It's the same way. You listen to those albums, and if a critic says something that you agree with, you can't go back and you can't change it. One more thing about that Nashville thing. Do you know who Clara Bow is?
No.
Clara Bow was she was really super, super, super famous in the mid-20s, silent film actress. Okay. And we did the premiere of the movie at the place, I can't remember the name of it, but it's been around since then, right? So, and there was even I think I had this idea because I think there was like a Clara Bow poster or something in there. And this was the greatest. You know what's about success? Like, I spent a shit ton of on this movie that I'll never get back, but I wanted to make it. To me, success was I was with Jane, and Ian was with me, and we traveled to Nashville, and we're sitting in this theater, and I knew that the movie worked by one thing, which is I put a lot of punchlines in it. And so if people are into the timing of the movie when I'm sitting, because I watched this movie with like 8 or 9 different audiences while I was still kind of editing it. And they were laughing at the times that I wanted them to laugh, which said to me, okay, this is
and they're paying attention.
The timing is working. They're paying attention. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, wow, I'm sitting in this theater that's been here since the 20s. My movie is up there. The place is full.
It's awesome.
And people are enjoying the movie. And people sat in the same theater and watched Clara Bow in like 1925. And I'm sitting here, and the audience is digging the movie. And I didn't ever make any money, and I spent a lot of money on that movie. But for me, because I don't have to worry about how am I going to pay the heating bill, for me it was like, well, this is what
Success
this is
is.
success, and my wife and my youngest son is here with me, and I'm good. Let the haters hate.
Hey, and you probably got laid that night. Oh my God!
Oh, you
This is
kidding
so
me?
great.
Well, you know about marriage. These things do happen.
They,
from time to time.
occasionally, you're like, did we just have sex? That was awesome. Did we just have sex?
How's your marriage going?
Yeah, hey, I'm not
I'm not
getting
going to
laid.
ask you. I've heard things.
Yeah.
I'm the Southside Steve now.
I've got two kids. Yeah, he's now me.
I know, you
and
got two
I'm
kids.
I got two
And by the
kids.
way, I just think it's wonderful and hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
To see you as the doting father and the baseball games and all that.
I always said he'll
delighted.
He'll back me up on air. I always said if I meet the right one, I'll never cheat, and it'll be the last person I'm with.
And she certainly is.
Yeah, there you go.
That was great
I had
having you. And we have never talked about this, but the three of us at my 60th birthday party a month or so, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
For Larry showing up, I think that was fantastic. I think it was great because
And
people were there.
And he wore a "Yeah, come on" hat, and I was like, all right.
you know what I mean? But you know what? It's like
he was at your party.
there's enough water. That's why I invited. You know, it's like water under the bridge. You know, that show was a big part of my life. I can't like exit off. And you know what? There's a reason that I was on that show. Larry and I, met and something happened, and we could actually kind of write material together and do things. And so
You came to Atlanta and changed my destiny.
you have to choose to kind of like, okay, we had problems, but at some point you can't just like hold that forever. And I thought that party would be a great time to just sort of go, hey, you know what? We've all known each other for a long time. And,
which is why we're going to put up a picture here at the end of us, a nice group shot.
Were you there when we did the sing along to All
Yes.
You Need Is Love?
Oh, yes.
You know what? I've never looked at that online because I don't want to be disappointed. Because from my eyeballs out, that was just the most beautiful, wonderful fucking
It was
thing.
great.
I don't want to look at it and go, oh, you look like an asshole. But
No.
in my mind, that was because people are like, what have you learned in 60 years? That's what I've learned. All you need is love. We'll end with this. People misinterpret that song. They think it's like a Hallmark card. And they think it's naive. And they think, all you need is love. Well, a little money doesn't hurt.
That's right.
That's not what he's talking about. He's not saying all you need is love in everything in life. If you look at the lyrics, what he's talking about is how do you become the best person that you can become. All of this, it's about that. It's all you need is love to be the best person that you can be. He's not saying all you need is love to survive the world.
This is why I'm a Rolling Stones fan and
As
not
am
a
I.
Beatles, because I'm not deep enough to read the lyrics. I don't ever listen to the lyrics, but
Well-
now we all learned something.
Well,
All you
John
need is
Lennon was,
love.
he also, he was brilliant in that way, but he also, slept with everybody in the world on his wife. He ignored his first child. And when his second child came into the world, he started writing songs about him and, how wonderful it is. How do the
older-
14-year-old feels like?
The one that looks exactly like you.
Hey, Picasso was an asshole too. So was Frank Lloyd Wright. You judge them by the art,
Yeah.
not how they actually, if they didn't walk it like they talked it.
And I heard the Wright brothers, speaking of Wright, they didn't even want to fly. They hated flying.
They hated it. They
Hated it.
didn't like the turbulence.
There you go. It is the Yeah Come On show with my friend and Jeff. I think you have mad respect. I think you love some Eric.
Oh, of course.
We've known each other for a good long time.
Yeah, Eric Von Haessler of WSB. Listen to him from 3 to 7, and definitely watch Scarred But Smarter, and look for that Driving and Crying video. I think I'm a priest in that.
No, well, yeah, you are. You're like the
Father Steve.
Yeah, you're the person who is
I'm marrying
marrying the couple.
Thank you. So I star in that as well.
Filmed at Southside Steve's.
Go out with a laugh.